Hello, everyone, and welcome to your week 6 live session. So this week's going to be another fun week. We're going to be doing a chicken fabrication assignment, which means you're going to break down the chicken, but this time it's raw chicken. You're also going to be using the carcass to make your stock, which you're going to be using to make your soup next week, right? But before we get to that, I have some very important announcements to make. As you can see, this week 6, so this is halfway through the class, right? So which means next week you're going to start your CU129 class. You're going to see this in your class page, right? Let me show you real quick. We're going to find you see your class next week, right? So here you're going to see this. All right, you see my class page on the eCampus. This where you're going to find your classes. I have a list like this. If you want to change the view, you can click on this little list and do like a card. You're going to see those little tiles. You're going to see you 2404 class, CU101, but also this you see 129. So you're going to have two classes going at the same time. Okay, so it's very important the next week, Wednesday morning, you get in there, you start doing the reading for the class, and I'm going to show you what it looks like, right? So it's very critical because you're going to be doing both classes, this class, and also you see 129 business class for the next 6 weeks. And also, when we get to week 12, we told you guys this is going to go by fast because you have a second class. So those of you who like to wait to do your cooking assignment on Tuesday nights, try not to do that anymore because you need to spend some time in your other class, right? So you want to try to spend more time doing your cooking assignment on the weekend, so that way you have time to get the other class done. And when you get to week 12, we're going to remind you guys pretty much every week from now on. Your week 12 is a short week. It begins on Wednesday, but it's going to end on a Sunday, right? And that week you cannot submit anything late. Everything needs to be submitted Sunday night. It's a hard deadline. We cannot open anything because on Monday morning we have to have everything graded and send your grades to a registrar so you get signed up to your next class. So again, we're going to remind you guys every single week from now on. So it's something that you're not going to be like surprised. But remember, your next class is going to be your business class, which is not, there's no cooking assignments. Chef Kevin showed you guys a preview last week. And just in case you missed that, this is what it looks like, right? It's a C129, it's food service management class. It's 6 weeks long, right? The setup is pretty much the same as this class. You're going to see the titles. Week 1, we're not going to be teaching the class, by the way. This is going to be a different instructor, but if you ever need some help or have questions, we taught this class from many blocks, Chef Kevin and I. So I actually missed teaching the class, to be honest with you, but let us know. So the week 1, you're going to talk about food service careers. Week 2, managing labor. Okay, you're going to talk about leadership. Being a chef is not just about know how to cook really good food. It's about leading the team, how to become a leader. You're going to have to really manage your labor costs. This is critical. Every business out there is out there to make money, right? So if you're not really managing your labor costs, you might see that the place is very busy, but at the end of the month, you might be under, right? So this is where you need to really manage money when it comes to spending labor and food costs too. Communication. This is really big, right? Communication in this industry is very important, right? So we're gonna teach you guys how to communicate. Also performance management. So 6 weeks, and then here you're gonna have quizzes like we have in this class, discussions, and small assignments, like 1 to 3 questions, small assignments. So nothing big. If you spend 1 hour a week doing this class, you're gonna do great. But you need to make sure you remember this is important because we want to get you guys set up to be successful when you get to work in the business, to know how to run the business, how to manage a team, right, is very, very important. Chef, anything you want to add?
No, I spent my entire first part of my career learning all about food, and then realized that you got to learn how to manage people and get along with people too. I think I made some critical mistakes early on in my career in how to handle the human resource side of it and managing people. I think it could have made my life a lot easier understanding food costs, labor costs, management issues. So pay attention in that class, get all you can out of it, and keep up in this class though too. We want you to keep up on a weekly basis.
Another thing too, this week we're going to be sending out an academic plan. What that is a list of items that some of you guys might be missing. It might not apply to a lot of you guys here. If you have done everything from week 1 all the way to week 5, you have nothing missing, nothing to worry about. But if you're missing assignments, a quiz, or discussions, we're going to send you something. It's going to be like a list of items. It might go out tomorrow or Friday from me and Chef Kevin. So you want to pay attention. Make sure you do those because you don't want to end up failing the class. If that's the case, you're going to have to retake the class again, right? Not only that, you're going to have to repay to retake the class. It's not just for free. It's not cheap, right? So you got to think about it. Right now is the best time to get caught up. So if you're missing something, it could be a discussion for week 2, it could be a quiz or your assignments, and get them done. get them done, and we're gonna tell you actually tomorrow what you're missing, but you need to really get those done soon because next week you're gonna start another class, so it's gonna take more time, right? So we don't want anyone to fall behind. All right. So last week, I want to go back with the last week. You guys did your roasting. You trusted chicken, roasted chicken to 165, nice and golden brown and crispy skin, right? You also did some nice gravy. So we saw some nice work. I know some of you guys had a little bit issue with the trussing, right? I don't blame you. It's a little bit tricky first time you do it, but once you get going and you learn how to do it, it's not very complicated. One of the things I want to recommend doing, you have those videos in the class page under the recipe book, right? If you have initiatives, for example, this week, how to break down the chicken, how to cut it up, watch a video as you were cutting the chicken. The same thing last week, right? So remember, those are resources are there for you guys to help you. But again, we saw some really nice work, nice golden brown in the skin, some nice gravy. So you guys did a great job for the most part. I know some of you guys made little mistakes here and there, but remember, you're in school. That's okay to make mistakes. It's a learning experience. So anytime you make a mistake, if you think you messed something up, hey, write it in the narrative. We can give you tips and feedback and how to kind of prevent that from happening in the future. Chef, what about your class?
I'm sorry, Chef. I wasn't paying
I know, I
attention.
understand. So I was talking about the last week assignment. I saw some beautiful
Oh
work,
yeah.
and I
Well,
mean, you guys did great.
you did. It did. I saw a lot of good work. One thing I really want to emphasis on, I mean, it was great color and great temperature. So you absolutely nailed the things we asked for. Some areas of concern, trussing. Trussing takes about 100 birds to get proficient at. So that's just practice. Don't be afraid to capture two things. Capture the fond, the souk, and those vegetables. Simmer your sauce with the roasted vegetables. That's what they're there for. So sauce will be 3 times as more flavorful. Then you're in charge of it. If it's too thick, add some more chicken stock. If it's too thin, reduce it down till you get to the nappe consistency, strain it out, and you'll have the most flavorful sauce there is.
Thank you, Chef. And you guys keep practicing this. Don't make this just the last thing to do, right? In the future, if you want to do a chicken, don't buy one from the store. Get the raw chicken, you truss it, you roast it, you make another gravy, right? So the only way to get really good with anything is to practice the same thing over and over again. I mean, you have no idea how many times we cut up vegetables into medium dice or roast chickens or whatever. It's a repetition what's going to make you better. Okay, you might nail this the first time, but then you got to do this every single time. And the more you do it, you're gonna learn always something new. You're gonna learn from there, right? So you always gotta keep an open mind. All right, so great with that. Let me show you guys what we gotta do for week 6. Okay, here, week 6. All right, so make sure you get your readings done. These readings are very important. So we kind of look at this and the narrative. If you're not sharing any information from the readings, it tells me you're not doing that. You gotta be doing it. There's a lot of science, a lot of great information from the readings. Not a lot. You gotta know these things, right? Also, again, Chef, Matthew is going to show you guys how to cut up the chicken tomorrow. He's not going to be making the stock because it takes too long, but he's going to show you how to, fabricate the chicken. That's the proper term we use, fabricate. That means to get the chicken ready for cooking. So you're going to cut it up into 8 pieces. You also have a quiz. All right, make sure you get this out of the way as soon as you can. So your assignment is made up of 2 parts, right? You're going to fabricate the chicken. That's the first part. You're going to get another raw chicken. You're going to cut it up. You're also going to take the carcass and the wings. You're going to make a stock. You have a choice, okay? So you can either do the brown stock or the white stock, but there's a catch. If you look ahead next week, you have a choice too, making a French onion soup or a minestrone. So if you want to do the French onion soup, then you must do the brown stock. Actually, I'm going to write down in my class page too, so you guys remember. If you want to do, the minestrone soup, the vegetable soup, then you got to do the white stock. I highly recommend doing the brown stock because a lot of you guys want to know what a French onion soup tastes like, or it's amazing. It also has a little bit more technique when you're making your brown stock, right? But again, you can do whatever you want, but you don't have to make both. You do one or the other, right? And down here, you're gonna see some sample photos. I'm gonna go over this in a little bit to show you guys the photos that you gotta take when you're doing your assignments. All right. So let's go to the presentation to kind of go over our lesson for this week and talk about stocks and fabrication, right? So this week you might wonder, why do I want to, cut up a chicken when I go to the store and get pieces cut up? Well, there's a few reasons for that. When you buy the whole chicken, you saw this week, it's actually cheaper. Just go take a look when you go buy the chicken again this week. Go and see how much it is per pound when you look at the breast, the legs, the thigh, the wings. It's gonna be priced more expensive, right? Because guess what? Somebody had to cut up the chicken, right? And guess who's paying for the salary? You and me. Everybody that goes by the cut of chicken is gonna pay more because you gotta pay the person. Well, we don't want that. As a chef, you want to be able to break down the chicken. Also, you're gonna be able to utilize, the pieces in different applications. In this case, you're gonna save all your pieces for future assignments. So when you get the chicken fabricated this week, you're gonna put the piece in the bags. You're gonna label those. And you're gonna freeze them. So that way you can have enough product to make all your future assignments. You're gonna use your bones, in this case, the carcass and the wings, to make a beautiful stock to make your soup, right? So this can be more cost effective. You're gonna be able to save money, right? But when you are working in the restaurant kitchen, when you're gonna be buying hundreds of chickens, it's gonna add up to a lot of money, right? And the bottom line here, when you're a chef, we want to make money and also make good food, right? So this is how you do that. Making good money is important. If you are a chef in a place and you might be busy by the end of the month, the owner's going to come to you and say, "Hey, Chef Kevin, it was busy, but there's no money left for me. You spending way too much money on food costs and labor costs. Well, I'm gonna have a job, right?" He's gonna be like, "Hey, looking for somebody else to make money, right?" So at the end of the day, it's a business. As a chef, you're in charge of that. You need to make sure you're doing everything right to have money left over to pay your salary, everybody else, the food, the electric, right, everything, and have some profit left for the owner, right? If you're the owner, you want to make more profit, right? So that's why. So here, let me make this big, okay, to go over this. All right, let me make this big. So this week, I'm gonna be talking about, butchery and stock production, right? That's very important. So here, what we're gonna be going over today, okay, the topics, understanding poultry and game birds, how they're classified, how they're market, also their characteristics. Chicken fabrication and sanitation is very important, right? What is the stock? We're gonna go over that. So this week, you got your lesson, you want to do the reading, your quiz, the chicken fabrication, you're gonna do the stock, and also next week, remember, new class. So this was Escoffier taught about a stock, one of his famous quotes, right? The stock is everything in cooking. At least in French cooking. Without it, nothing can be done. If one stock is good, what remains of the work is easy. If, on the other hand, it is bad or merely mediocre, it is quite hopeless to expect anything approaching a satisfactory result. So again, the stock should be the main ingredient for your soup, right? So if this stock doesn't come out really good, we don't expect the soup to be good, right? So you got to really take your time and follow the steps when you make the stock. It's got to be really good because the main ingredient for many different things. Here, we're going to talk about what is it. We hear about this all the time, but what is it really? How is it applied to cook it? So, heat's a form of energy associated with motion of molecules and atoms, okay? You see this picture up here? When something is cold, those molecules don't move. They kind of bunch together. If you apply heat, they start to bounce around, right? This when the temperature is measured, the molecular activity starts to move around. So this where the temperature goes high, higher. The more molecules move faster, the higher the temperature is going to be. And this is called cooking. When these molecules move so fast, they actually change the structure of food, right? And this is called cooking, right? So this is how it works. A lot of science behind cooking, you guys. Here, okay, how do you break down the composition of game birds, the chicken, for example? Chicken is made up about 75% water, protein about 20%, fat about 5%, the other elements like carbohydrates in small quantities. We have a light and dark meat, right? The light meat includes the breast and wings. This have less fat, less connective tissue, so it's going to cook much quicker, right? Dark meat, this like your legs, the thighs, they have more fat, more connective tissue because they do more muscle movement, right? They move around, so they move more, right? These muscles tend to take longer to cook, but also they're more tasty, right? So understanding, like Chef was talking last week, when you see a piece of meat, how are you going to cook it, right? It's going to really depend on the type of product you're going to be cooking. How are you going to know the technique you apply to cook the product, right? So here, the next thing on this slides, if I can get it to jump. So how do you classify poultry, right? The market form. So the kind would be the species like a turkey, a chicken, a duck. The class, it would be like the subdivision. This depends on the age and sex, the style, how the amount of cleaning and processing has been done, right? You're never gonna buy, live items in like poultry in the food service establishment. It's always gonna be already dressed and ready to be cooked, right? This means dress, kill, bled, pluck. There's also rare to see in the food service, right? Ready to cook. This is when you're gonna have everything eviscerated. There's no fat, there's no feet. Sometimes you can buy them whole. You can buy it cut up or parts like chicken legs, chicken thighs, wings, right? And this is why it's more expensive because somebody has to cut those for you, and that's why they're going to charge money. It also has refrigerated. It can come fresh, a chill, or frozen, right? You want to definitely try to find a chilled chicken this week. You don't want to be cutting up a frozen bird. It's very dangerous. So the chicken should be just cold, fresh, not frozen. If you buy it frozen, you want to defrost the chicken before you cut it up. So I'm not saying not to buy it frozen, but you can. But make sure that when you're ready to cut up the chicken, it has to be thawed out because it's very dangerous to cut up a frozen chicken. The next thing here I'm going to talk about the domestic poultry. How do you characterize those? You have the rock Cornish hen. Those are really small hen. Chef talked about this last week that he was cooking some of this. They're very tender, very young, about 5 weeks old, between 3/4 to 2 pounds. They're very tiny, small birds, right? Then you got a broiler, probably the one you probably got this week, right? These are about 6 to 10 weeks old. They weigh between a pound and a half to 2 pounds, and then you got a fryer, which is 2.5 pounds to 3.5 pounds. Okay, then you got the roaster. This is probably the one most of you guys bought this week. This is about 3 to 5 months old. The cartilage is still flexible. The breastbone is not very hard. Okay, you probably got the chicken this week between 3.5 pounds and 5 pounds, right? That's how much it weighed. Then you got a capon. This is a male chicken that's been castrated, right? And this the way they do it, right? Because they castrate their breast gets really big. They're very expensive too. I really don't see a lot of those being used in a restaurant anymore. One time I used to work in a country club where we used to use capon, right? But there was more a lot of money. And this about 8 months old, under, and they weigh about 5 to 8 pounds. It's pretty heavy. And then you have your hen and fowl. These are mature female chickens. They're very tough, coarse skin. The ones that probably lay eggs, right? They're probably older, 10 months, and they weigh between 3.5 pounds and 6 pounds. And then you got the cock or rooster. These are really tough. I remember living in the farm. My mom sometimes she would like butcher those because they were so old, and she would make like a stock. But the meat is really hard, right? It's very tough, very coarse skin, and the meat's really dark because I mean they're older, so they're being beat up and they fight all the time. So it's sometimes you might not even buy those or see those at the store anymore, right? Unless you live in the farm. One thing is very important this week and every week, but especially this week, dealing with poultry, right? Sanitation is very important that you follow this really, really close this week. So you want to make sure you clean your area, sanitize everything before and after you handle poultry, right? Also, we're going to need to label the products. We're going to show you what you need to do this week. The reason we do this in the restaurant setting because you want to know when you make something. And you know what? When you have the inspectors come in, they look for this. They're going to walk in your walk-in cooler and your freezer. If they don't see labels in there, they're probably going to throw it away because they have no idea when you made it. And you want to, they have labels they actually you buy, right? It has like the name of the item, the date, the when it was prepared, who was prepared by, and when you should use it by, right? So this is the reason we do this to prevent, a couple of things. One, from your product from spoiling, going bad, right? Also, you're going to be able to rotate your products. You're gonna, save money because if your products go bad, if you give it to somebody, they might get sick, and then guess what? They're gonna come back and probably sue you if they get sick in your restaurant. Also, you don't want that because that could be a lot of money, right? And also, is you're gonna be able to serve fresh products. They're not gonna go bad in your cooler and throw it away because the last thing you want to do is throw away product that sits in the cooler because you didn't label that and it goes bad. We don't want that, right? And also here, like I said before, the reason why we fabricate something, just in case you wonder, you're going to save the bones this week, the scraps, and also the chicken parts for future assignments. Also, you're going to be able to save money. All right, you can do like a little math. See how much you would pay for like the pieces separate, and also the whole chicken. It's always cheaper per pound because they don't have to process the chicken as far down. You're gonna just get the chicken, the package. You're gonna be able to save money, right? In the restaurant setting, like I said before, when you buy a lot of chickens, that's up to a lot of money, right? If you buy like a case or 2 case or even 10 cases a week, if not more, imagine like fried chicken. I Kentucky Fried Chicken. They do a lot of product, right? And if they buy the chickens like that, they're going to save a lot of money. So it's why it's very important for a chef or a culinary line cook to know how to do this, right? You never know where you're going to end up working. All right. So sanitation again, you need to clean and sanitize your work area. Do not rinse the chicken. Okay, you're always going to do is remove it from the package. All right, take it out. You're going to dry this with paper towels. The reason you want to, kind of spray water because if you spray chicken juice on your countertop, you might not be able to clean it, everything or see everything. If you don't want to cross-contaminate with raw, juice from the chicken, other products that get somebody sick, right? Also have a tray ready for your pieces. So you want to set up your mise en place. Get a little tray so when you cut up the chicken, it's going to be ready for you to put them down. I have your bags labeled. You want to buy some Ziploc bags, okay? You want to label this before you do anything. When your hands are dry, if you start working with the chicken, you get your hands wet, then you're gonna write in the bags. It doesn't work really good. So you're gonna label your bags. You're gonna write down wings or excuse me breasts, legs, the chicken thighs. And you're gonna write down the date when it was when you cut it up, right? So you need to know this because if you just dump it in the freezer, you're not gonna know when it was cut up. You need to know when you did it so you can take it out and use it in a given amount of time, right? If you have to stop at any point when you're working with the chicken, you need to wash your hands before you touch anything. You don't want to go to the fridge and get something for your kids out of the cooler and just kind of transfer the chicken juice to the cooler door, right? You want to wash your hands. You don't want to cross-contaminate any products with the raw chicken. And then you also wash your hands and sanitize everything once you're done. Okay, do not leave the chicken in the temperature danger zone for too long. Okay, this is between 40 and 140, right? So you want to make sure that when you take the chicken out of the cooler, you're going to cut it up right away and then put it back in the freezer and then store your carcass or start roasting your bones for your stock. So this is very important. You follow the steps so that way we don't get anybody sick. Anything you want to add, Chef, before I move on?
No, just that it's vital this week that you take sanitation as a high priority, right? In your kitchen before, during, and after. Have minimal items out. Your sheet pan, your pre-made bags, and one knife, and nothing around you, right? Try to be on a cutting board with nothing else around you, right? So just keep in mind that's very critical this week.
All right, you guys, I'm not gonna go in very detail to how to break down the chicken because Chef Matthew is gonna show you how to do that. I'm gonna show you a diagram real quick, just some photos and how you're gonna start doing this, right? You already carved the chicken this week. It's very similar. The way he did it this week is a little bit different because the chicken is gonna be raw this week, but you're gonna start by removing the leg quarters, also the wishbone, right? So you can start by taking the wishbone out. He's gonna show you guys everything tomorrow, but I wanna show you this diagram really quick. Just kind of go over the steps really fast. So here, this is what you're gonna be doing, right? So the first thing you're gonna do, remove the neck and the gizzards from the, usually they come in a little cavity, right, in a little bag. So make sure you take them out. You're gonna cut between the leg and the breast, okay, like that right here. Right here. When you do this, you gotta pull the leg this way, pull it out. The skin is gonna stretch. Also, you wanna use the correct knife. You wanna use your boning knife. The boning knife is the one that, you have three. You got the little one, that's called the paring knife. The second one, bigger one, is the boning knife. The blade's kind of skinny, flexible, and then you got the chef knife. I recommend using the boning knife. It's a little bit easier to handle, and especially when you remove the breast, okay? You want the blade to kind of bend so you go really close to the breastbone and get all the flesh. So here's going back to this. When you cut the leg quarters, okay, you want to pull the leg this way. The skin is going to stretch. You want to cut closer to this side of the leg right here. So when the skin pulls back, you want to keep the skin intact in the breast. If you cut too close to the breast, all the skin is going to be left on the leg quarter, right? You don't want that. You want the skin to be left on the breast. So again, Chef is going to show you guys tomorrow how to do this. So you're going to cut down. You're going to pop the joint, okay? It's going to pop. You're going to stick your hand underneath and kind of push it up. You're going to hear like a pop. And then you're going to cut really close to the backbone, remove the first leg quarter. Then you're going to do the second one, the same thing. When you feel like the leg joint, you're going to kind of separate it, right? And then you're going to repeat the second side. Okay, then you're going to take the wishbone. This is very important. And the wishbone is in that right here. Okay, you're going to make an incision up here like in a V shape. Find the wishbone. You want to pull it out. Remove the flesh around the wishbone. Then you're going to pull it out. Most of the time, it's going to break in half, and that's okay. If you can get out whole, that's okay. But if it breaks, be careful because the wishbone is very tiny. It's very sharp. You don't want to, cut yourself. I cut myself many times before. I'm not careful. I poke my finger and it starts to bleed. But then you're going to remove the wishbone. Then you're going to separate remove the breast, right? So again, you're going to take your boning knife. You're going to find the breastbone. You're going to cut on one side, make some easy strokes. You're going to follow the contour of the rib cage. Remove all the breast. The key here is to remove all the flesh from the breast and keep it attached to the breast, not to the bones. And then you're gonna be left with the carcass and the wings, right? And then you're gonna save those. So this is the steps to separate, to break down the chicken. It's a little similar. It's very similar to what you guys did this week, carving the bird, but this is gonna be different because it's raw. It's a little bit slippery. And then you're gonna separate. I'm gonna show you a better picture, like right here. When you separate the leg from the thigh, you're gonna do it from the inside. When you flip it over, you're gonna see like a little line of fat where the joints come together right above. Every chicken is going to have that. I have another cool photo to show you more clear. You're going to cut right between there. If you do it from the top, there's more flesh. It's gonna be hard to find the joints. So again, this is the steps to break down the chicken. But again, hang tight. Chef Matthew is gonna really show you guys how to do this tomorrow, okay, in detail. And also there's a video and the recipe book, right? It's showing how to break down the chicken. So if you're having issues, maybe play the video. You can stop the video as you're doing that. So that way you have more success. All right. And again, we're not looking for perfection. This, like Chef mentioned before, takes some time, right? I'm not looking for you guys to break down the perfect chicken this week. It's not gonna be perfect, but if it is, even better, right? But you guys give it a try. All right, let's talk about stocks, okay? So stocks are divided into two categories, a brown stock and a white stock. So the steps to follow, the only difference is going to be here, the roasting the bones. When you do a brown stock, you're going to roast the bones and also your mirepoix, all right? So here you're going to place the bones, in this case, the carcass and the wings in the roasting pan, goes in the oven, all right? You're going to get them nice golden brown. You're gonna take them out, okay? You're gonna in the same pan. You're gonna put your vegetables, your mirepoix, onions, celery, and carrots, right? You're gonna roast those for about until they get about 20 minutes or so. Then you're gonna take them out. You're gonna add your this is called pince. The recipe has a tomato paste. You're gonna toss those vegetables with that tomato paste. You're gonna put them back in the oven to cook for another 10 minutes to really caramelize and cook the tomato paste down. Then you're gonna add your bones to and mirepoix aromatics to a pot. Add cold water. You always start your stocks with cold water or anything you cook, right? You're gonna bring the stock to a boil. As soon as you see this stock coming to a boil, turn down the heat to a simmer, okay? You never want to boil your stock because if you do that, what's gonna happen? It's gonna emulsify all the fat you see coming to the top. The impurities are gonna emulsify. Then you end up with something cloudy. You want to skim all the foam that comes to the top. You're gonna see a lot of foam coming to the top the first half an hour cooking, right? Once you go over the half an hour, this kind of diminishes, but you want to remove all the foam with a ladle. Okay, you're going to simmer this for about 4 to 9 hours. This week, you're going to be doing a chicken stock. You don't need to go 9 hours. If you were doing like a veal stock or a beef stock, then you will go 9 hours. 3 hours is more than enough for this week for the amount of bones you're going to be doing, right? But usually, if you were doing like a veal stock or a beef stock, those bones are huge. It actually does take 9 hours to get the stock done. So this is time consuming. It's not hard to do, but take some time, right? So that's why you don't want to wait until Tuesday night to get your stock going in the fire at 9 o'clock, right? So let's get this done on the weekend. And then here, once the stock is done, you're gonna strain it, remove all the aromatics, the bones. You only want the liquid. We need to cool this down to 40 degrees as quick as you can. The reason you want to do this because you don't want to store the stock in a cooler hat. It can spoil, right? So it's very important that anything we cook in the restaurant kitchen, we have to cool down. It could be a stock, a soup, anything. It's got to be cooled down to 40 degrees within that. I think they changed our chefs. Things 2 hours. It used to be, from 140, 180 to 70 in 2 hours, then to 40 in the next 2 hours. But now they changed that. It's short amount of time. Okay, the white stock, here the difference is we're not going to roast the bones. Once you got your bones ready, your carcass, the wings, you're going to put them in the pot. You're going to cover those with cold water, okay? You're going to bring this to a boil. Reduce the heat to a simmer, okay? You're going to skim all the scum that comes to the top. After you simmer this bones for about half an hour, you're going to add your vegetables, your aromatics. You're going to add your mirepoix, in this case, celery, carrots, and onions, your aromatics to the stock. You're going to continue to simmer the stock and then skim the top that you see all the foam coming to the top. All right. You're going to simmer this for about 3 to 4 hours. This week, 3 hours is more than enough. You don't have a lot of bones there. And then once the stock is done, you're going to strain it. And then you're going to do the same thing. Cool it down to 40 degrees as quick as you can. All right. So, Chef, anything you want to add or any questions about your stocks? I'm still going to go over the photos and the recipe.
Yeah, there was a question in the chat, which was great, and wanted to know if they could utilize the chicken carcass that they had from last week. And so, absolutely, if and only if you're doing brown stock, because the carcass was roasted already, right? So it needs to be roasted again to be able to create the brown stock.
All right, cool. Okay, so let's talk about your mirepoix. Okay, what goes into your stock? So again, we have different stocks. We got your white stock, we have brown stock. We also have vegetable stocks. We can do fish stocks. So there's all different kinds of stocks. Okay, so what is the mirepoix? The standard one, you're gonna have onions, celery, and carrot. There's a ratio too, right? So again, if you do like the one you did this week for your roasted chicken, okay, you're gonna have onions 50%, celery 25%, and also carrots 25%. So to do that in the restaurant kitchen, we don't weigh this, to be honest with you. So if you have a pan like this, you're going to do half of this pan onions. The other half, you're going to do 1/4 onion, celery and 1 carrots, right? So if you have like a pan like this, so 50% half the pan onions, the other half, you want to do 1/2 celery and 1/2 carrots, right? So you're not gonna really sit there and weigh the stuff. And then you have your white stock, your white mirepoix, excuse me. The white mirepoix, this one you're gonna do something like a fish stock, right? Those are leeks. Okay, instead of onions, you're gonna use leeks, parsnips instead of carrots, and then celery. There's also a ratio, right? 34% leeks, 23% parsnips, and then celery 33%. And then you have your trinity. This is where you're going to have your bell peppers and celery, right? And onions. This is more used in like occasion and creative cooking to make dishes. So again, sometimes you might see like a trinity, and this is what it is: peppers, celery, and also onions, right? But this way, you're going to be using the standard mirepoix: onions, celery, and carrots, okay, for your stocks. This is what you're going to do. And again, you can see here some of the stocks, like the brown stock, look a beautiful color. You got your white stock, and then your vegetable stock. This is just some roasted bones, right? That I have here to show you guys what we're looking for. Be careful not to burn the bones too, because if you burn the bones, what does it to your stock? It becomes bitter, right? Burning the onions or bones, even bones are more intense when you make the stock, so have like a bitter taste. So you want to roast them to a nice golden brown, but do not burn them, okay? So here, how they classify, right? So again, what is the stock? In the basic form, it's a strained liquid that's a result of cooking vegetables, meat, or fish bones, and other seasonings, ingredients, and water, right? A brown stock is made by browning the bones, the vegetables, and other ingredients before they're cooked in the liquid, okay? Most soups begin with a stock of some kind, and many sauces are also based on reduction of stocks, right? That's why the stocks are very important to make, right? Make them properly. So again, we have white stocks, brown stocks, vegetable stock. What is the difference between a broth and a stock? I think Chef mentioned this a couple weeks ago. A broth is made with scraps of meat, right? The stock is made with bones. And you're going to see a broth has more like it's not as clear because the protein and the meat also gives like a more cloudy look to your broth compared to the stock. And then again, I just went over your standard mirepoix, the white and the trinity. The sachet, you guys already made one, right? This is like the herbs that go into a little bag, like a coffee filter or cheesecloth. And you also can use fresh or dry herbs. If you can't find a cheesecloth, you can just dump your aromatics into the pot because you're going to strain everything out. Many times in the restaurant kitchen, if you run a cheesecloth, you're just going to throw the peppercorns, your bay leaf, your aromatics into the stock because you're going to strain everything out anyway. So if you don't have, a coffee filter this week to make your sachet, don't sweat it. I don't need you to go run into the store to get cheesecloth to get it. Just dump the stuff in there and everything is going to be fine, okay? So here, this is your recipe for the brown stock you're going to be using this week. You're going to have your carcass and the wings from the chicken you break down this week. Again, like Chef mentioned, if you save your carcass from last week, you can use it on the brown stock. More bones you got in there, the better, okay? You're going to use 2.5 quarts of water. You might need more water. If that's the case, that's okay. Because if you see that your bones are getting a cover, you need to keep the bones covered with the liquid the entire time the simmer. So you can have more water. That's okay. You're gonna have one half onion cut into large pieces, 1 carrot cut into large pieces, 1 stalk of celery, just one piece, not the whole bunch, just one stalk. And then you're gonna have 1 ounce of tomato paste, okay? One bay leaf, 1/4 teaspoon of dried thyme, 1/4 teaspoon of peppercorns whole, 2 parsley stems. You can buy just a bunch. They don't sell parsley stems at the store. You're gonna buy a bunch and just kind of use the stems. 1 whole clove. So here you're gonna preheat the oven at 400 degrees. You're gonna place the chicken, the carcass, the wings. If you have the neck, you can also use that in the roasting pan. You don't have to have a roasting rack, just in the pan. And also, do not put any foil down in the pan, right? I don't want to see any foil because a lot of students do that because they don't want to spend the time washing the pan. Well, that's not a good idea because when you put the bones in the pan, you're going to see a lot of fun, a lot of brown in the bottom. If you just kind of take the aluminum foil, wrinkle it up, and throw it away, all the flavor went in the garbage. So you're going to see this, like you saw this week, at the bottom of the pan, a lot of browning. It's called the fun, all right? You want to scrape all the browning. When you dump the bones and the vegetables into your stock pot, a little water and scrape all that, all this flavor, okay? So no foil. Once the bones are nicely golden brown, remove from a pan, put them in the stock pot. Cover those with cold water, bring it to simmer. Okay, keep skimming the stock, and then in the same pan, you're gonna add your mirepoix. You're gonna roast them, okay, until they get nice and golden brown. If you have a little fat in there from the bones, leave it in there. The fat's gonna help to brown the vegetables quicker. Once they brown in the oven for about 20 minutes, you're gonna take them out. You're gonna toss your tomato paste with the vegetables. Put them back in the oven to cook some more. You wanna really roast the tomato paste to a nice golden brown, like a rusty color, right? Then you want to take them out. You want to scrape everything, dump your aromatics, dump your vegetables into your stock, and continue to simmer, right? And then you want to, simmer this for about 3 hours. Once it's done, if you need to add more water, if you see like the bones coming out of the water, you need to add more because you're not going to extract any flavor if the bones are sticking out of the water. Okay, you're going to strain this in a container into a container with a calendar, right? The good thing is here, you want to make sure that you put this in a metal container. When you cool this down, a lot of students have a hard time, right? Cooling this down. I'm going to show you how to do that. But if you put the stock in a plastic bin and try to cool in an ice bath, it's going to take longer to cool down because plastic is an insulator. It's always best to keep this in like a metal container when you're cooling it down in an ice bath, right? Because it's going to cool down quicker. Another thing you can do, you can take some ice cubes, put them in a Ziploc bag, and seal it. Put it inside the stock. Or you can freeze a water bottle. Dump some water from the bottled water, freeze it, and you can put this in the stock inside, right? We actually have in the restaurant kitchen, like it's called like a wand. It's like a big popsicle. It's hollow, so you fill the water, you freeze it, and then you stick like the big popsicle inside the stock pots to cool down the stock quicker or soups, right? But you need to bring this down to 41 degrees as soon as you can, right? The sooner the better. And the next thing here, all right. So again, this is the white stock, the same thing. You're gonna have your bones from the chicken, your carcass, and also the wings. You're gonna place the bones in the pot, cover those with cold water, bring it to a boil, reduce to a simmer. Once you simmer these bones by themselves for about half an hour, you're gonna add your vegetables and your aromatics. Okay, continue to simmer this. You're gonna skim the top as you see some fat coming up and also some scum. You don't want that to emulsify back to the stock because that's gonna make it cloudy. You're going to simmer this for about 3 hours, okay, 3 to 4. This week, 3 hours is enough. You're not going to have a lot of bones. Then you're going to strain this, okay, and then you're going to, cool it down to 40 degrees as quick as you can. Again, you're going to use your bones from the chicken and the wings, okay. You're going to add the water, 4 quarts, 1 carrot, 1 celery, 1 piece. I have 1 onion cut in half, bay leaf, peppercorns, and thyme, okay, thyme leaves. So this is the recipe, okay. So once you get this done, okay, you're ready to make your French onion soup. All right, so this is what you're gonna do. The next thing here I have, I think that's it for the slides. Let me stop and see if you guys have any questions about anything. Any questions, Chef? Anything you want to add?
There was a little bit certainly about how to cool the stocks down and the appropriate way to do that for sure. Um, you know, I just want to reiterate when you do this, you really can't boil the stock. The more that heat goes above a boil, the more cloudy the stock is going to get. And you really want to, if you remember, the stocks are going to be the basic base of everything we do in the kitchen. So it should be bland, no salt in there, right? You just got chicken bones, the aromatics, and water, right, to create this stock. We want it bland because that's the building base for everything else we do later. So take your time with this. More bones you have too, the better. If you can get extra bones, you're going to be much better off.
Like Chef says, if you can see in the recipe, there's no salt. Okay, we don't add salt in the stock, right? It's gonna taste kind of bland. When you explain the taste, it is bland because again, you want to be in control of your soup next week. If you start adding salt to the stock, you have to reduce it for like we do. It becomes very salty. So you're never gonna be seeing recipes that have salt in stock. So it's gonna be bland. Just simmer your items, right? I got like a little exercise here for you guys to show you real quick, like how much money you save. This is probably not even real anymore. It's a little bit off. So this is what you will pay per pound, right? I'm sure this is probably a lot more. It was a while back when I did this. So chicken breast with the skin on, skinless, $2.36 a pound, right? And chicken thighs, $2.10 a pound. Whole chickens was 98 cents, right? So just imagine if you buy whole chickens at 98 cents a pound compared to chicken that's already cut up. You're saving a lot of money, right? Ground chicken's the most expensive, $3.15. Chicken wings, $2.05. Believe me, you guys, in the old days, the chicken wings were given away for free, pretty much. Okay, nobody wanted those, but then everybody started using those, and guess what? Now they're very expensive. I mean, back then when I was in the business, they used to send you like free bones, to be honest with you. When you buy your products from the company, the meat company, they would give you like chicken bones, fish bones from your fish company, even like veal bones. Not anymore. Bones are very expensive. Everything has changed, right? But you can see here how much you can save. If you buy like a whole chicken, you can get the breast, the wings, everything else. You can even make stock from there, right? It's more economical. Okay, you're going to save a lot of money. And I know that you're only buying one chicken, but again, at home for the family, even for the family buying one of the chickens, you can save money. But imagine buying hundreds of chickens a week in a restaurant kitchen. It saves all. You can save a lot of money. So that's what thousands of dollars every year in one item. And you have a lot of items in the menu, right? So it's why it's important to understand why we need to know how to break down the chicken, right, you guys? All right, let me go and show you guys some of this photos, right? And go over the 4 requirements for this week. It's very important you guys, show that. So again, here is your assignment, okay, what we need to have. So if you look at your week 6, okay, first of all, you need to break down the chicken, okay? So here, you're gonna need to self-ID. We already know that, right? Use sanitized solution with a date. You're gonna show your mise en place. You're gonna show the proper way to kind of grip your knife. And then once you break down the chicken, you're gonna show the carcass with the legs, two thighs, the breast, the wings, and also with the wishbone removed, okay? And here you're gonna show these items in the back label with the date that you broke down the chicken and also what's in there, okay? So here, this is what I have for you guys. Let me show you. This is for the stock. So when you break down the chicken, okay, I also want to show you a really cool photo they got here for you guys. So again, you self-ID, you sanitize the bucket. Here, you want to show you the whole chicken, okay, your knife. The bag's already labeled. So this student surely got everything kind of labeled because if she gets this bag wet, then it's hard to write on those. So 2 chicken legs, okay, the date that she's going to break it down, right? This is a proper mise en place. And next thing, you want to show how to hold your knife. She's using a chef knife. I recommend using your boning knife because she knows how to do this. She knew how to do this from way back, right? So here, this is what I want to see. I want to see, the carcass like this. She was able to remove the wishbone. See how clean these bones are? There's no flesh left from the breast, right? You also see all these pieces like this. I want to see the wings, the breast, the legs and the thigh like this, okay, with the skin intact. Okay, so this is very important. The chef tomorrow is going to show you guys how you need to, what steps you need to follow to keep the skin intact. But this is really important. The wishbone, the carcass like this, very clean, right? And then another picture here she has. She kind of showed the steps, right? It's kind of cool. She began by removing the leg quarters, the wishbone. Also, then she took, cut the thigh from the leg, and also she has the breast here again. Another cool picture. If you want to do that, feel free. But I want to see one like this: the breast, the wings, and the pieces with the skin left on. See how the skin covers the entire piece of breast. Okay, this is what you want. So to do that, again, this is actually a better photo. When you pull the leg this way, the skin is going to pull this way. You want to cut closer to the side. So when the skin pulls back, it's going to cover the breast. See that? Because it's going to stretch. If you cut too close to the breast, then you're going to be missing a piece of skin over here, right? And you don't want that. So this is a really cool photo. And then you want to show your pieces inside the back label, right? Because you're going to save this, freeze them. You're going to be using your breast for future assignments and also the rest of the pieces. So you're pretty much set from now till week 12, except for 1 week. Then you need to buy one more protein, but you can save this, okay? And that way you don't have to spend more money in future assignments, okay? Here, this is what I was talking about. When you separate the leg from the thigh, if you put it on inside out, okay, this is where you're going to see like a little line of fat going across. All the chickens are going to have that. You see one over here, this is the bone that comes over here. If you put your knife right above this, you're going to be right between the joints. Okay, this is the bone that comes from the leg over here, right? So there you're going to cut right between. You can also feel it with your finger, right? If you do it from the top, there's more flesh over here, so it's going to be hard to really feel the joint. But the inside, you kind of see there where to cut, right? And don't be afraid to feel the joints with your finger. Then you're going to put your blade right between. You don't want to be cutting through the bone. You want to cut right between the joints. Okay, so this is a really cool photo. You guys can see when you kind of separate the leg from the thigh. All right. So if you are doing your brown stock, okay, this is what I want to see. Again, you want to see your mise en place. Okay, here. She got the carcass, the wings. Okay, your mirepoix, your tomato paste, aromatics, given the water that she's gonna use. You want to show your bones roasted. I would roast this a little bit longer if I was me. Okay, So here you got also your bones covered with water. I will use more water too, a little bit more that way, because it's gonna evaporate. It's gonna simmer for a long time, so you can actually add more water in there. Here, once you cook your vegetables for about 20 minutes, you take them out. You're gonna toss them with a tomato, okay? And then you're gonna put it back in for another 10 minutes. Once they're done nicely golden brown, you're gonna put all the vegetables into the stock pot. You're gonna take some water. You're gonna scrape all this fat, all this browning. You want to scrape up and dump into your stock pot. Don't. That's why I don't want foil on this pan. A lot of students put foil down and then they throw it away. So you don't want to do that because you're wasting the flavor. The flavor is right here. And this fond you see is stuck to the pan. Here you're going to see your stock simmering, require photo, and then you're going to show your stock when it's strained and cool down to 41 degrees. So here, she's using a glass bowl. Actually, it's not bad, but metal works better. You can also, like I said, freeze some water bottles and you can dump it inside the stock so that way it cools down quicker. We want to see that this stock is nice and cool down to 41 degrees like you did with the chicken this week, right? So then you're going to save this for next week to do your French onion soup. Okay, if you want to do the French onion soup again, you want to do the brown stock. If you want to do the white stock, then you gotta make your minestrone soup next week. Okay. So again, the same thing. You want to show here your mise en place. She actually got more bones here. She probably got another chicken. She deboned this. Also, if you want to get more bones, I like to buy chicken feet. Chicken feet are very inexpensive. You have like a Hispanic or Korean market, Asian markets, they have chicken feet in there. It's very inexpensive if you want to have more bones to make like a bigger batch. So here you want to show your mise en place, your bones, the onion, the carrots and celery, aromatics. Okay, the water is gonna go in the stock. You're gonna start your bones, which has the water. Okay, you're gonna cook it for about half an hour. Skim the top, see this nice and clear. So she had the vegetables now, and she's gonna simmer for long, more like 2 more hours. And here it's done. Look at this beautiful stock, no fat, very clear. And then you're gonna cool it down. Also, you see here, when the stock cools down, it's gonna look a little bit more cloudy. This is okay because there's gelatin in there. It starts to kind of change the color, but when it's hot, it looks a little bit lighter. See over here, but this is normal in stocks. They actually look a little bit darker when they cool down. And that's it. This is what the photos we need for you assignments for this week. Chef?
I just want to emphasize, I harped last week on getting the color right on that chicken, right? You had two things you had to do: internal temperature 165 and the golden brown on the chicken. This theme is going to be carried over this week and next week. Take the time and brown your bones properly. Get good color on them. Get good color on the mirepoix. And get good color on the tomato paste pincé. If you don't, your stock is going to look rusty. It's going to have a rust color to it. The deeper you get that pincé on that tomato paste and your vegetables, better, more in-depth flavor and a really deep umami flavor you're going to get for your stock. And that's everything when you go forward, because that stock will be used in the future for soups, sauces, and an item we haven't talked about yet, which is called a glace de volaille, reduction of that stock. It's almost like a homemade bouillon cube without the salt. Pure flavor, pure veal or beef flavor. So take the time to do those steps properly, and you'll be really rewarded with a great stock. Back to you.
Okay, one more thing I want to add. I mentioned chicken feet. If you any of you go out to get chicken feet, this way you're gonna see in your stock. Your stock's gonna coagulate like a gelatin. When you cool it down, because chicken feet have a lot of collagen, a lot of connective tissue. So when you make the stock with that, it's gonna be like a big block of jello next morning when you cool it down. One time, oh my God, I had a student. She went out and she got like chicken feet, and then she came back and she threw it away because she went to make the soup next day and she saw there was like a coagulator, it looked like gelatin. So before she called me, she threw it away. And I'm like, what have you done? That's the best stock. So if that happens, if you buy the chicken feet, when you cool down the stock in the fridge, it's gonna be like gelatin, like jello, right? And that's okay. When it goes back in the heat, it's gonna go back to a liquid form. But it happens because you know what? They make gelatin from the bones. That's how they make gelatin, to be honest with you. So this what happens. But don't be afraid. If you use a chicken feet for the stock, it's gonna be like solid, like gelatin, like jello, right? That's what it looks like. But don't throw it away. It's gonna be the best stock you ever tasted. So I'm not saying to go buy those. If you want, you can buy those. They're very inexpensive. It's gonna really make the best stock you ever had. Any questions, you
Did you,
guys?
you can buy them at a larger grocery store. Oftentimes you'll see bones as well. Sometimes that's a good idea to get them as well. And then the chicken paws, chicken feet, they're really gelatinous and a great source of stock.
I buy those every now and then. I make a batch and I freeze my stock, so I use it to make soups at home. But those are really easy to find. All right, any questions, you guys? Jermaine,
Any certain method we got to do to preserve our stock for the following week?
okay, you know what? I would recommend that if you are not sure, I mean, I would freeze it, right? Because if you, for any reason, you don't make the soup, right next and in the 7 days, the shelf life is like 7 days in the fridge. So I definitely freeze the stock, just in case you don't get to make the soup, and in the given time, right? So in case something happens, your stock doesn't go bad. So I would definitely freeze it, but make sure that you use your stock within 7 days from when you make it, okay?
Okay.
Right. All right. Anybody else? Okay, I don't know why you're still seeing this Chef Kevin screen. Okay, let's see. All right, anyone else?
Chef, it's frozen on there. You're gonna have to stop sharing me.
I know that's okay. Let's see if I can. Yes. Let's see if I can share something. Then that way you can get kicked off. Okay.
What's in my tablet? What's
Looks
my
good. All right, Dominic, do you have a question? You have your hand up.
Cool down the stock. Do I have to do an ice bath or can I do like ice inside of the bag?
No, ice bath. The ice bath's better. So an ice bath, you're gonna have, you're gonna have your ice. The way I do it, I kind of put the stopper in my kitchen sink. It's clean. I put the stopper and you put some cold water and you put the ice in there too. You don't want to just put the ice because you want to have water in there to speed up the cooling process. You can also put some ice cubes in a bag and put it inside the stock to cool down quicker.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, because the water is the melting process is going to cool down the stock much quicker. If you have only the ice in there, it's going to take longer, right? So to cool down. Also put your stock in a metal container. Metal is going to transfer heat much quicker than plastic. So a lot of times students, have the stock in plastic and then they panic because it's not going down fast. Also, you need to steer your stock every now and then because the stock around the edge of the pan is going to be cooled down quicker, but the one in the center is not. So you want to steer the stock every now and then to kind of mix them together so it cools down much quicker. Anybody else? Any other questions, you guys? Chef, anything?
Can I use glass jar to save the stock?
A glass jar? Yeah, you can use glass, yes. It's actually a good idea, glass. It keeps nice and clear. Anyone else? Chef Kevin is still there? I also want to show you guys something really cool that I have in my class page. I know we would talk about the Maillard reaction, right? So when you guys go to the instructor announcements here, I had this video up last week too. So since we're doing, the roast and the bone stew, let me open this real quick. Come on, computer, it's not working. All right, here, if you go inside the week 6 resources, you're going to find this cool video in there. It talks about the Maillard reaction. There's a lot of science in cooking, right? So it's a really nice video. I want you guys to go and play it. Where you go? Right here. So this is nice, okay? It talks about the Maillard reaction, what it does, the science behind it. So you want to, play that. It's always nice to have something extra there. I think you guys are going to enjoy that, especially this week when you're doing like the roasting the bones, the Maillard reaction last week, roasting the chicken, and moving on. You're going to be sauteing or making your, well, not sauteing, but caramelized now on this next week. Again, those of you making the French onion soup, it's going to be amazing. And you also have a lot of patience. You got to have a lot of patience this week and next week because your assignments are going to take a little longer to get done, right? Your stock takes about 3.5 hours. And so you don't want to start doing your assignment on Tuesday night at 8 p.m., right? Going to be late. So from now on, please try to get your work done early because every time you're rushing to get something done quick, things don't go always good, right? Something happens, you might forget something, a picture or your narrative, and then your grades begin to drop. And we don't want that, okay? So we want everybody to finish a class with an excellent grade. All right, Dominic, you got a question?
Yes, so when you're cooling down the stock in the ice bath, do you recommend like stirring or whisking it to kind of
Yes.
cool it down
Oh,
faster?
yes, because okay, like I say, you're gonna have the stock in the ice bath around the pot, the stock around the pot touching almost this the water while it's cold, it's gonna start to cool down quicker. So you want to stir the stock every now and then to mix the cold stock with the stock in the middle of the pot that's not very hot. So yes, I recommend doing that.
Can you use a plastic mixing bowl or does it have to be metal?
Well, you know what? The metal is gonna transfer heat, cook quicker, so which means it's gonna cool down much faster. Okay. So you know what? You can actually, okay, do this. You're gonna have your stock in a pot, right? So when you strain it into a metal or into a plastic bowl, and then you can dump it back into your stock pot and then cool it down in the pot. That way it cools down much quicker. How about that? I'm not, that way you don't have to get anything else. So you got your stock pot and you're gonna strain that into a bowl, plastic, dump it back into the stock pot so you cool down in the pot.
Got it, thank you. Sorry, one more question. When we are using our stock for the soups, and do we have to thaw the stock out to room temperature before we use it?
No. If it's frozen, yeah, you wanna kind of put it in a pot to kind of bring it to a liquid form. But if it's in the cooler, you can just dump the stock and put it in the onions, right? It's gonna heat up again, or your vegetable soup, whatever stock you make. So again, if you want to do the French onion soup next week, then you have to make the brown stock. If you want to do the minestrone, you need the white stock. Okay, so again, the brown stock's more steps, but you got to think about this next week when you have to do your French onion soup. You're only going to cut onions. If you're going to do the minestrone, you're going to have to cut a lot of vegetables, right, to make the soup. So it's pretty much you're going to do less work this week, but more work next week. And I recommend doing the brown stock, to be honest with you, because it has more technique driven, right? And also you're going to be able to make a wonderful French onion soup next week.
Thank
Anybody
you, I
else?
appreciate it.
Chef Kevin, anything you want to add before we leave? I think something's happened with this internet. All right, well, thank you guys. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Okay, Chef Matthew's going to do a wonderful job breaking down the chicken, so don't miss that. If you can't make it, watch the video, right? And also don't be afraid. So be careful not to cut yourself, but you're going to do great. Just take your time, break down the chicken, make your stock on the weekend, then you get ready to start your other class next Wednesday. If you need anything, let me know. But you guys are doing an amazing job. Don't forget that. You guys are awesome. And I'm so happy to have you guys as my students, all right? And I know Chef Kevin feels the same way. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.